All right, so now we are going to take a deep dive into things like website, bulletin, and social media. And we're going to get started with website first. It's 2020. Every parish should have a website at this point. And, I understand that parishes come from a lot of different backgrounds, different resources to be able to do them and keep them updated. But I want to give you a couple of powerful strategies and tactics to be able to maximize your online presence. Now, I like to use the word presence because I believe that your website is an extension of your parish. For example, when people go on a website of a business or of an organization or a cause, they feel something about that organization or cause, right? So for example, if you go to Nike's website, just to keep using that example, you probably feel like you want to go running, right? There's speed and there's emotion and there's probably somebody sweating that you're thinking like, wow, if I'm not being active right now, I should be, because this is what life is all about, right? And then you buy some shoes. How come our parish website sometimes can be the complete opposite? I know parishes that are filled with families at every single mass, great music, vibrant community, exceptional preaching, great hospitality, the best parishes, but they have websites that look like they were built in 1980, right? Think about a visitor or think about someone coming back to the faith. And I always like to narrow back in on that, right? Someone who is returning to the faith after 10 years. Let's just pretend they watched a Bishop Barron YouTube video, let's just say, and they had a conversion moment and they said, wow, the church is real. I'm going to find my nearest Catholic parish. So I want to lean into this visitor thing for just a second. Now, how do people find your parish? Probably on Google. Very few people will actually type in www.stthomasmorecolorado.org. It's difficult. It's much easier for people to say Catholic parish in Denver or Catholic church near me, right? So think about it this way. People are searching for your parish. They're finding your parish without the name and the address, and they're getting there. Let's think of a visitor or someone who's fallen away. What is the first thing that they see? In the showing and not telling section, I talked about vibrant pictures. And again, I really believe this is the number one life hack that you can do for your parish is put vibrant pictures. Get portraits of people, smiling people, vibrant people, ask their permission, hire a professional photographer. It's worth the investment for people to see what really reflects going on in your parish. But the point here, you should be thinking about visitors that come to your website. Now, you're probably thinking right now, if we change our website, all of our parishioners will get upset. Now, you're probably actually thinking about a few people in your parish that get upset about everything. And maybe I'm off base here a little bit, but there's some people in your parish that hate change. Now, changing your website to focus on visitors is an evangelization strategy. It's a way to reach people. It's a way to engage them. It's to help them belong and help to feel connection, and eventually helps to get them there. Again, look at our lovely evangelical brothers and sisters. Look at their websites. It is visitor focused. It's very easy to click a button and say, I'm new. I've never been here before. What should I expect? But on many Catholic pages, we bury that page 15 pages back, and it has a little bit of information. It says, here's the address. We'll see you on Sunday. My challenge for you is to focus on visitors for your parish website. The second piece on websites I want to say is keep it clear and simple. I once worked for a pastor who told me, Dan, we need to have a good Catholic news story, and we also need to have an update every single day on the website. Now, this pastor was huge into sports. What was his homepage? ESPN. Every single day, he'd click on ESPN and he would read all the latest stuff. Do you know how many people came to our parish website every day? Probably 10 when we tracked them with software. So for creating all of that content, putting something new on every single day on your parish website, people are not coming to your parish website every day for the latest and greatest. They have social media, they have Twitter, they have text messaging and phone calls. They're not coming to your parish every single day. So take off the burden, take a deep breath, and just think about what is the essential pieces of information that need to be on my parish website. That's things like mass times, very easy to find. Information to be able to find out if you're new, to be able to find out what it's going to be like at mass. photographs of people, ways to get involved, ways to pray, an easy way to give online and to become a steward at the parish. These are the kind of things that are really important on a parish website, not archives of history from 12 years ago or 15 years ago or blog posts, right? People just are not engaging with that kind of content across the entire internet. Your parish is no different. You're dealing with people that are on other pages all day long. They're not going to come to your parish differently. So it's important to think about, how do we keep it simple? How do we keep it functional? How is it accessible to people? And we focus in on visitors. The third thing, kind of a no-brainer, your website has to be mobile friendly. The internet is over 50% of people on smartphones and tablets. If your website is not designed to work well on a small screen, it's not going to work well for people that are looking, especially when they're on the way to look for a parish, or it's Sunday and they're visiting, a city that they're not familiar with, and they're trying to get on your website on their phone to look at to find that information. You need to be thinking like the visitor. You need to be helping people understand. One other thing I'll say, like I mentioned before, 40,000 people per second are searching on Google. So Google has a lot of control on what websites appear, on the ranking pages. Years ago, we used to think, if you spent money or you paid Google, you could become number one. But Google is much smarter. Google actually uses algorithms and software to be able to anticipate the most valuable responses to display them. And Google will literally ding your search result if your page is not mobile friendly. It says, nope, this isn't going to be good for most of the people using Google, so they're going to bury you down below on search pages. And that means people won't find you on Google. The other thing I'll say is you need to have a site certificate, an SSL certificate. Very, very important. It's a little technical, but it's like that little icon that looks like a lock up when you're typing in the URL. You need that. Otherwise, a browser like Chrome will literally tell your visitors, this site is unsafe. Are you sure you want to come here? It's kind of scary to think about, but these are some very, very simple things. You're probably working with a company like LPI, OSV, eCatholic. You probably have a company that's helping you with technology to get these things done. And again, we'll talk a little bit more about that at the end. But if you had a parishioner create your website 10 years ago, or some friend of a friend who did it as a favor for Father Joe, it's important to make sure your information is current. The last thing I'll say is all information on your website should be current. Don't let there be things that are blatantly outdated, because it shows that you don't care about the content. People will come on your website, they'll see things from 2009 and say, wow, I can't trust this information because it's not up to date and it's not curated. Your website, in summary, is an extension of your parish. It represents your pastor. It represents how you feel about the faith. It represents the families that come to your parish. It represents the vibrancy of your community. Help it do you favors and not hurt you. Help it to really be maximized, so when people see it and they encounter it, it's almost like looking at a window, pulling aside the blinds and looking at a window into your parish. What do you want people to see? An empty church, a bunch of clutter, or a beautiful community filled with people who love their faith and want to serve others?